Psalm 78 verse 41. Again and again they tested God's patience and frustrated the Holy One of Israel. So this is the verse. In NKJV it says, again and again they tested God and they limited the Holy One of Israel. They limited the Holy One of Israel. Just now we read in Jeremiah that God's plans are greater than all our plans. God has greatest plans for us. Just now we read that His thoughts are wonderful towards us, to give us hope and a future, not to harm us, right? Just now we read that. So now, if God's plans, God has so wonderful plans for us. If God has given us so much of hope and a future, why are many Christians not able to experience that? Why are many Christians are still facing failures? Why are many Christians still suffering sickness and lack? Why? This is the word. They limited the Holy One of Israel. Why? How you can ask me, how can someone limit God? He is sovereign. He is all powerful. He is omnipotent. He is omniscient. He is so powerful. How can we, mere human beings, can limit God? You may ask me, or you may have this question in your mind. See, there are certain laws in this world. For example, the gravitational law. It is not limited by your obedience. It is there. It works for everyone, a believer and unbeliever. Sun rises every morning, and it is not limited because of your obedience, because of my disobedience, or because of my faith. It's not limited. There are certain laws that are not limited, but God has tied up His hands with our faith, with our obedience, to work in our life. If you want to see a miracle, God said, don't limit me. Just untie my hands through your faith. Untie my hands through your obedience, and you're going to see my power in your life. Hallelujah. Many of times, can a creature limit God? Can a creature tie the hands of the Creator? It's impossible, right? But then God, in His loving mercy, He is looking for someone who would partner with Him, who would just believe Him, that raw faith, that raw belief, who would just believe Him, who would just get that power out of Him. That lady who was suffering from blood hemorrhage, for 12 years she has been suffering with that. Bible says she went to all the doctors and she wasted all her money, but she did not get healed. This raw faith, she could not go to the community. She cannot go to the people. She cannot go in the midst of the people. But then she dared to go, saying, if I only touch His garment, I will be healed. If we stop her and ask, where did you have any example? Did you see anyone who is getting healed by just touching His robe? Every day we are seeing that His people are thronging on Him, but none of them got healed. How can you expect this kind of breakthrough in your life? If we ask God, I don't know, but I just trust that if I only touch His garment, I will get healed. Hallelujah. Many people, when she went and she touched that garment of Jesus Christ, hem of His garment, just the end part of His garment, the power went through Him. The power went out of Him and healed this lady. Hallelujah. And Jesus stopped and asked, who touched me? And disciples said, Lord, there are many people who are thronging on you, who are pressing you, but why do you ask who touched you? Then Jesus said, no, the power has gone. What kind of prayer we are praying? What kind of touch we are touching Jesus? With what kind of faith? Is your faith drawing power out of Jesus Christ? Hallelujah. He didn't even ask God's permission. The power just went out of him. That is the power of faith. That is the power of faith. She went, she touched. She did not limit God. Many of us, we limit God because of our reasoning, because of our unbelief, maybe because of our fears, because of our carnality. We just limit God. I really love that characteristic about God. He is not respecter of persons. He doesn't respect only millionaires. He doesn't respect only people who have cars and, from the high caste. No. Even if a humble person, even if a humble man, if he kneel down wholeheartedly, and if he ask God, and if he call upon God, even if it is belly's womb, like Jonah cried out to God from the deepest part of the sea, God heard and He answered. There is nowhere in this world where God's presence is not there. Hallelujah. So God is telling, if you look for me, if you seek me earnestly, you will find me. He is willing to be found by us. He is not playing hide and seek with us. He is just seeking a genuine heart who would seek Him. Hallelujah. And you will find me. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Isaiah had this encounter with God. He saw the presence of God and the glory of God that filled the whole temple. He saw the praises of, seraphims and the cherubims. And then he was frozen and he said, Hayo, my lips are not pure. Who will make me holy? Hallelujah. That is the presence of God, where we can't even utter a word. In that awesome presence of God, what will happen if you go into that place? You will be just breathing His presence. You will be just breathing in His presence. Have you ever experienced that? You will be just breathing, hallelujah, that sweetness, that impossible power, that unimaginable power. You will be just be strengthening. Your heart will be that is the place where your heart will becoming strong. That is the place where your desires are just becoming in line with God's desires. That's the place where God is just really strengthening you. Hallelujah. You may be weak, you may be fragile, but in the presence of God, it's amazing. And from there, you cannot say, Lord, it's not possible. You cannot say that. Everything seems to be possible. So much life, abundant life. There is no fear in that place. There is no fear of enemy, no fear of people, nothing in that place. Only a broken heart, and you will just look into the presence of God and cry out to Him, Lord, you are holy. And I thank you. What can I say, Lord? I am just undone. Father, thank you.